Welcome to the Catapult Effect podcast. I'm Katie Wrigley, neuroscience coach and entrepreneur. This podcast is for high-performing leaders who look capable on the outside, but know the pressure of carrying too much alone. Each week, we explore the internal and external systems that create real ease, from nervous system regulation to delegation and smarter support. If you're ready to build in a way that feels steady and sustainable, you're in the right place. Welcome back to the Catapult Effect podcast. I am your host, Katie Wrigley. Today, I want to talk about the importance of words and share my biggest pet peeve with you. Well, biggest pet peeve, second to people going the speed limit in the left lane. That one really gets me too. I should probably do a cognitive movement session around that so it doesn't irritate me as much or happen as much. That is kind of the way things work. But for the pet peeve that applies to you, my dear listener, it is, and I want to be clear, the annoyance that I have, the pet peeve, is not with the people who are saying it. It is the fact that you have been taught to talk this way. That is what drives me crazy because words are so important. They are so important. And I'm going to share a story with you that my mentors, Liz Larson and Bill McKenna, actually share in the foreword of my upcoming book, From Crutches to Half Marathon, about the lesson that they saw me getting from this exact thing. So my pet peeve is when we make anxiety, trauma, depression ours. And we do this by saying the following: my anxiety, my depression, even my pain, my trauma. Please stop making it yours. Please stop doing this to yourself. And here's why. Your body is listening. Your brain is listening. So when you make it yours, it's actually getting deeper and deeper into who you are. Anxiety is not who you are. Trauma is not who you are. Depression is not who you are. Pain is not who you are. You are a perfectly unique, wonderful human being who has had a lot of bad shit happen to you. That is very different than you being the anxiety, you being the trauma, the depression, the pain. Very, very different. And I want you to really hear that distinction in here. So when I first joined Cogno Movement, and I did my first CognoConscious, which is Liz and Bill's huge one-year event. It's absolutely amazing. It's actually going to be in Mount Shasta, California this year. It's going to be, I don't even have words. I'm so excited to go this year. Already bought my ticket, already all set. Cannot wait. But I was wearing a sweatshirt that said, "My body is a temple, ancient and crumbling, cursed and harboring some unspeakable horror." That may not be the exact thing, and I didn't want to stop and go look up the exact terms, but that's pretty close to it. And I actually have that quote correct in my upcoming book, From Crutches to Half Marathon. Really encourage you to grab a copy of that when it is out. And I'm going to have a link for you to join the wait list. If you want to make sure that you don't miss it when it comes out, I will make sure that you know, and you can come join us for the launch party. But at any rate, Liz actually really noticed that sweatshirt. She honed in on it. And she was like, I know you're wearing that as a joke, but your cells are actually listening. And I know that sounds crazy. I'm going to go into this again. And she's like, would you consider potentially taking it off? Because it seems as though your body is taking that message very literally from what you're explaining. And in case you don't know too much about my story, when I first joined that first CognoConscious, I was awaiting a neurosurgery consult for my back, and my pain levels were excruciating. And I walked away from that event 3 days later. It's 3-day virtual in 2020, and this is when I went. Now it's 5 days in person. So good. But I walked out of the event and put together a piece of furniture in my kitchen that was meant for 2 people to assemble together. And I did it on my own without my back bothering me. So that was how much changed. And as far as the cells listening, there is truth to this. I'm forgetting who the scientist is, but scientists have actually done not split studies. They did a study on this, that as soon as it was either an atom or a proton, but something was observed, it would change its behavior. And then they even took it to a point where they realized that even if they thought about it, these little tiny particles were reacting to the thought. Our bodies are always listening. And so this is why it's so important. This is why you hear a lot of stuff about self-talk, affirmations, and all of that is really important. People can go overboard on it. Totally get it. Have been there myself. But the reason it is that you're training your brain and you're telling your brain what to look for. And as a human being, you actually want to be right. All of us want to be right. And so what this means is your brain is going to look for proof to make you right. Your anxiety, your trauma, your depression, your pain. Yep, it's there. It's there. I feel it. It feels like shit. We don't want to make it part of us. Your cells really are listening to you, and your body is constantly trying to talk to you. That is a huge premise behind Cogno movement, is that your body is expressing for you the emotions that your mind cannot. And this is really important because we want the body and the brain to be in alignment and pointed towards what you actually want for yourself, not more of what you don't want. And so when you're using terminology to make things yours, you are actually reinforcing more of what you don't want. And it is really important here to mention that this is not your fault. You were taught to talk this way. Your doctor will come in and ask you about your anxiety, your pain, your depression. If you're dealing with a therapist, your traumas, we hear it referred to as ours. In part, probably because it's just the easiest way they can start to connect and dive into it. I don't know. Again, if you known me any point of time, you know I have mixed feelings about the medical system. It is absolutely fantastic when we're talking about a severe trauma. But as Americans as a whole, we totally, fully overutilize this. We are way too dependent on this system that is created for profit and therefore wants you to keep coming back for their profits. That is a piece that a lot of people miss. There's so much that you can start to do and take control of and heal for yourself when you start to shift out of this model that you've been taught. And part of that shifting is the words that you're using when you are describing experiences that are either happening to you now, such as the feeling of anxiety, or have happened to you in the past, such as a trauma. We really want to be careful with that. And as another piece of that, another thing that I hear people say is, I'm going to get PTSD from this thing. Maybe, maybe not. You can have an event so severe. And I have worked with clients who have had incredibly traumatic events, like witnessing someone's death. Pretty bad. Not an easy, non-violent passing away either. I'm talking about a violent, abrupt end to someone's life. That is going to change you, no doubt. You are not going to see the same person that you were before that. But the diagnosis of post-traumatic stress, and I'm not going to use the D either, the diagnosis of post-traumatic stress doesn't come for 3 to 6 months. So what does this mean? It means that you actually have time that you can neutralize that event in the nervous system, in the mind, in the body. Does it mean that you definitely won't get post-traumatic stress? Maybe yes, maybe no. It really depends on the severity of the event and how dedicated you are and how dedicated the practitioners are, how skilled they are at being able to help remove the impact of that. Now, with some of the people I know who have witnessed deaths, there is a post-traumatic stress component to it, even though some of them dove in and started doing the work immediately, which I give mad props to anybody who does that. And I've worked with people all over the country, all over the world. And it's very important as I'm talking about these things that I'm not giving any location or anything, that people cannot stay completely anonymous. When we're talking about that level of impact, anonymity is incredibly important. But again, the thing I'm also noticing about these people who dove in right away, they aren't making any part of it theirs. The mindset is already of a place where they know they want to heal. And part of that is not making it part of their identity, not allowing it to be laced in there. And also being willing to neutralize the impact of these events so that they don't become theirs, so that it isn't any more difficult than it already is to work through whatever that event was. Again, I'm not annoyed at the people who are making it yours. If that's you, I'm not annoyed with you. I'm annoyed at the people who taught you this. But what I do want to encourage you to do, I want to encourage you to notice when you're making it yours and start to shift it. If you notice, if you start to say, wait, nope, time on, delete, delete, delete. I'm feeling a little anxious right now, or the anxiety is starting to really bother me. I even had one client who stopped using the word anxiety completely, and this person completely transformed their life. We had done a longer bunch of sessions together. We worked together once a month for a year, and they changed so much that was going on in their life in that time. And it was absolutely incredible to witness. And one of the biggest complaints they had when they came to me was that they got anticipatory anxiety going to work. They are a first responder. They got anticipatory anxiety going to work. And we worked through it from several angles. And that anticipatory anxiety kept coming up. One of the biggest changes, this person actually wound up taking leave for a little bit to help the nervous system get into a more resourceful state. And they dove headlong into more healing, which I have mad respect for all of those decisions to give yourself a break, to take some leave from the thing that is stressing you out and give your nervous system time to breathe, chance to unload some of its baggage. But one of the big shifts that this person made is they stopped calling it anxiety. It was the ick feeling. Wasn't even labeled as anxiety, more just the ick feeling. And they would notice when it started to come up. And this person actually ultimately decided that they wanted to shift to another part of first responding, to not necessarily be feet on the street, going into the scary situations. They wanted to take more of a back seat. They realized that was a better fit for their nervous system. And that 100% is a fantastic outcome and solution. They have the life they want. They got incredible results. This person has actually referred multiple other clients to me, and I so appreciate them. And if they're listening, they know who they are, since I'm using their exact words, ick feeling. And that is a really important decision. But if we're judging ourselves, like, oh, there's something wrong with me if I don't want to keep doing this job. No, there's not. You tried it. You were great at it. And it's not you. The words that we're using, I want to reinforce this again, are very important. So notice when you start to make something yours and shift it. Potentially even change the words you use. Get away from anxiety, getting away from depression. Maybe instead of anxiety, you do what my client did, and it's the ick feeling, or it's the, ugh, I don't like how I feel right now. It's the, ugh. Make a sound effect, because it add a little bit of humor. It's going to be hard to hold on to anxiety if you're trying to laugh at the same time too. So make it fun for yourself. And notice how you feel as you're starting to shift out of that. Because Liz is right. Your cells are listening. Your body is listening. Give it the input that matches with what you really want. And shift out of that. If depression is something that you deal with, I got the blahs. Feeling blah today. All right, feeling blah today. Do whatever you can to take the power out of that word and diffuse it. All right. I trust that this is exactly what you needed to hear today. Thank you so much for joining me. And as always, until next time, please be well. Thanks for being here on the Catapult Effect podcast. If today's episode supported you, share it with another leader who's ready to create more ease in how they build, and leave a review so more heart-led leaders can find these conversations. You don't have to do everything yourself. When the right systems are in place, inside and out, business gets lighter. Until next time, protect your capacity.